My husband left me all by myself to raise our children so he could run off and live with his mistress. And he did all this because she has more money than him. But guys, this story gets so much deeper because I figure out from his, dad, a very disturbing secret, that he just shared with me. Hey guys, I'm overwhelmed by the amazing response I got last week's book review. Today, instead of reviewing a story, I want to tell you mine. I've never really shared much about my life or about who I am. I just use this website to inspire you all to read. It's just something I'm really passionate about, and I'm not really a career-driven woman. I work at a hotel as a receptionist, and I'm more focused on my family. Financial independence really matters to me, based on the horrible past I'm going to share with you all today. My first husband, Theo, he left me for another woman, leaving me alone with 2 very young children, and I don't know what I would have done if it weren't for my then father-in-law, John. And my current husband, Isaac. 6 years ago, I discovered Theo's affair with a wealthy woman, Josie. Theo and his mother, Angela, are the greediest people I've ever met. They left me for Josie's money and lavish lifestyle. I was employed and left to fend for myself with my children, and I was completely helpless and wanted to hurt myself at the time. John took me in after Angela left him too, and he took care of me and the kids. I finally got up on my feet and met Isaac. It's been 2 years since that we've been happily married, but trouble started in our paradise when Josie decided to kick Theo out along with Angela. After years of not giving a damn, they returned, asking to be a part of the children's lives. I finally gave in, and after all the begging and pleading. But what made me so mad is that Angela decided to use the opportunity to manipulate my innocent boys. Now, I want to make sure they never see my children's faces ever again. Let me paint you the whole picture for you to understand. I wasn't stupid enough to get married to a cheater who has no ambitions in life. Theo and I were initially very happy. He worked extremely hard, and Angela has always been a gold-digging jerk. He would always criticize Theo for not earning enough money, and Theo would often switch jobs in search of a higher-paying job. His efforts were in vain. He eventually got into the wrong company, which would encourage him to run for ways to make money more quickly. His methods of earning quick money, such as gambling and making bets, rendered him penniless. Theo had changed entirely, and Angela was encouraging it. She was fanning the flames even more, and I was financially dependent on him. My kids Cody and Toby were 3 and 5 years old at the time. Theo did not want me to work at all, and we often got into arguments about his way of spending money and his not allowing me to earn money, and his mother was a regular guest at our house. She would annoy the snot out of me and call me a useless woman for not taking good care of my family. She always wanted to spoil my kids and would doubt my methods of parenting. She hated me because she wanted Theo to marry somebody rich. Theo is quite the looker, and she would call me ugly compared to him. She would often tell me that I did not deserve such a good-looking guy. I had put on too much weight after giving birth to my baby boys. Her mean comments would always give me body image issues. I wasn't really aware of our education about mental health issues, but I'm pretty sure her comments caused me to have an eating disorder or something. I look back at it now and frown. I would skip meals throughout the day instead of showing concern. Theo and his mother would laud me for skipping meals and not eating. This showed in our intimate lives too. Theo has stopped making me feel beautiful. It was very upsetting, and for the longest time, I thought it was all my fault. The financial strain would give me an immense stress too. Bills, they were piling up, and Theo had no money to pay them. We needed electricity and water, so I would pay the bills with what I had to cut the food down. I ensured my family had something to eat, but I would mostly sleep on an empty stomach. Theo and Angela would complain about how bad my food was, and I would often fight with Theo and I revealed that I would go hungry just so they could eat. Instead of feeling guilt or shame, he told me it was my duty and it was no big deal. He told me I don't need food because I'm at home the whole day and I do nothing anyways. I was shocked at how much Theo had changed since I got married to him. I felt unloved by him. My physical and mental health were both going downhill because of Theo and Angela's constant torture. I confided in John and told him everything. He apologized for Angela and Theo's ill treatment and promised to ensure Angela would not show up at my doorstep. He also gave me money so that I could buy us food. One day, Theo came home drunk and started shouting at me and hurling abuse at me for being so ugly and useless. He revealed to me that he was with another woman and that he was leaving me for her. He told me that he gave me too many chances to be a better wife, but I never tried to be one for him. He left me and my children that very night, and a couple of days later, I found out that Angela and Theo had moved in with a woman named Josie. They lived at Josie's father's house, and Josie's father, 65-year-old male, is a wealthy man. And Josie is nothing more than a spoiled, rotten brat. She was infatuated with Theo and wanted him to move in with her. Angela moved in with them as well for the money. Josie didn't care. She had a lot of space in her mansion and was ready to do anything to keep Theo. Theo, too, was ready to do anything for her since she had a huge amount of money. Theo had become the equivalent of a butler at their house, and he would run errands for Josie's father and would pick up Josie's shopping bags and take her wherever she wanted. Josie did not want Theo to be away from her or go to work. Theo happily committed to living at their house and being available at Josie's beck and call. I, on the other hand, was living alone. Trying to manage life with my 2 children, I was so frustrated, and then more trouble came my way. Theo had sold the house to pay off the money that he borrowed from people for gambling, and my kids and I had nowhere to go. John took me in and cared for me and my babies during this tough times, and I told him I'd go to my parents' house, but he stopped me and told me to stay with him. It was really hard, but I got back up on my own 2 feet, and I really started to take care of myself and my children. Since Angela had abandoned John too, he had no one else but me for support. My kids really missed their father, but John really tried to fill the void despite his age. I sent Theo divorce papers and he paid me with a lump sum with the help of Josie. Angela and Josie laughed at me when they met me during the divorce procedure, called me too ugly for Theo. I used the money and really put a lot of effort into maintaining myself. I had the most hectic schedule, but still looked at time to take out for the workout and the visit the salon. It really helped my self-esteem, I love the gym. I'm really proud of who I've become, and I've really grown since then. I eventually met Isaac. We fell in love, and he accepted me and my children for who we truly are. Yes, we're a crazy family, but we love and support each other. I could not have found a better father for my kids than Isaac. Trouble landed in our paradise when Josie decided to kick Theo out now that he was fat and ugly. Karma really hits hard, She kicked Angela out along with him, and now they had nowhere to go. They went back to John, but John would not let them in at all, no matter how much they begged. Theo had to get a job. 6 years of doing nothing had done no good for him, and it was difficult for him to land a job. He ended up with a low-paying job. He could barely manage household expenses, and Angela was being a pain in him too. Now, he knows how I really must have felt back then. Josie had found a new guy, much hotter. Theo was jealous and decided that he needed somebody too. He set out to look for me and my kids, and he landed on my doorstep. He took one good look at me from head to toe and exclaimed that I had changed. He said that I looked absolutely beautiful. I was shocked to see him, and I was almost in tears, to be honest. I screamed in his face and told him to go away. He stood outside my door and begged me to let him in and let him meet the boys, and he kept on apologizing and begged me for one more chance. He desperately wanted to reconcile, and I told him I was married and I would not open that door. He went away that day, but would constantly blow up my phone and beg me to let him see his children. So, I told him that they weren't his children anymore, and that if he cared about them even the slightest bit, he would leave us alone. It was unfair of him to leave his kids for so many years without wanting to even see their faces and just suddenly show up. He tried to pose as their father at school and meet them, and I was going to call the police, but it was far too late. Toby and Cody had a lot of questions in their head. Cody even vaguely remembered his father, and I told them that we weren't together anymore. Isaac explained that Theo hurt my feelings, and that's why I and their fathers aren't together. The whole thing, honestly, was really hard on the kids to even comprehend and understand. Their perspective on our family changed overnight. They had many questions on their mind. I was baffled, too. The whole thing was difficult to manage. I hated Theo for what he had done. The very next day, he came back to my house and fought with Isaac, accusing him of stealing his wife and kids. Theo got down on his knees and begged him to reconcile, and I refused. I told him to leave. I even threatened to call the police. Theo, at this point, was in absolute tears, and he asked me to at least let him meet his children. He got emotional and calmly told me how lonely that he's been. He cried that his mother was not supportive either, and Angela and Theo lived in Angela's old house and things were really hard for him. He said he could not cope. The whole conversation moved me, and I felt sorry for him. Isaac comforted him too. I decided to let Theo meet my kids just for the well-being, and I didn't want to be the bad person in their eyes. I took pity on Theo. I thought I'd be the big person and just help Theo cope, and I believed that yes, Theo had changed, and I lived to regret the decision I made at the time. Initially, I would just let Theo meet him at my house once a week. The kids enjoyed being around Theo as well, and I explained to the children that Isaac is their dad too, just like Theo, and that nothing should change in our happy family. Well, they understood and even respected what I had to say. Theo requested that I let him take the kids out, but I was hesitant at first, but I started trusting him. So I let him take them out on Sundays, and Theo took them to his house where my kids met Angela. They came back home, and I referred to Angela as Grandma. I was so mad. I hated that woman to the core. I instantly regretted my decision, and I could not just explain to my kids that Angela was evil. My kids wanted to meet Angela again the next Sunday, and I let Theo take them, but I decided to talk to Theo and let him know I was not okay with my kids seeing Angela. But it was too late. The damage has been done. Angela had told my kids that Isaac and I had an affair, and Isaac is the reason Theo and I aren't together. She told my children that Isaac is evil and that he was the reason their family broke up. She also told them that I took all their money and that's why they're so poor. She told the kids to leave me and move in with their father and poor old Grandma instead. Cody started throwing tantrums. He refused to call Isaac his father anymore, and I told them it was all a nasty lie. I even got John to visit and tell them the truth from his own mouth, and Toby believed us, but Cody, he thought that we were all lying. The whole situation was sensitive and difficult, and I talked to Cody, but all my efforts were in absolute vain. Angela had brainwashed him so badly that he was not ready to believe what we were saying. I forbade Theo and Angela from meeting the kids, and Theo and Angela secretly visited them at the park, and they encouraged the kids to come and live with them and told them that I was evil and would not let Theo and Angela meet the kids. Cody ran away from home to go live with them, but he got lost in trying to find Theo and Angela's house, and he never reached their house. So I had to call the police, and they looked everywhere. They found him crying on a park bench in the opposite direction from where Theo lived. The police had to console him. My little boy was in danger just because Angela manipulated him. I was furious, and I sent them a legal letter. They had already given up the boy's custody, and I sent the boys to a counselor, who explained the whole thing to them in a very calm, professional manner. It helped a lot since Cody was not ready to listen to me at all. Cody eventually calmed down and warmed up to me and Isaac again, but it was not the same as before. Despite everything that went down, Theo and Angela still made efforts to contact the kids. They would come over to my house whenever they liked, and begging to see the children, I got sick and tired of their annoying behavior, so I finally filed a complaint against them. I requested that my children need protection from them as they're manipulative, and my child was put into danger. Theo did not have a good track record anyways. He was known for cheating, gambling. The court put a restraining order against them, and they were supposed to maintain a distance from my children, and I didn't want to have to do such a thing. But I did not have a choice. Theo threatened me that I had done was not good and that he'd be back to take my kids very soon. I assured myself that he would not be able to do anything. But sometimes I worry about my kids. Cody's starting to become extremely rebellious. The situation is much better than before, but it's still not okay. Cody trusts me, but now there's a distance between him and Isaac, and I've noticed that he also tries to pity Toby against Isaac. Toby recently shouted at Isaac, and it's really hard to deal with the boys despite the counseling. If anyone has any ideas on what I can do, please drop a comment. This is a request from a frustrated and desperate mother. Please help, I'm putting a hold on the book review for a couple of weeks. The holidays have started, and I've booked tickets to somewhere nice. I hope this solves the issue in our family. I really want us to go back to the way we were. Hey everyone, I know it's been a long time since I've posted, and things have been pretty hectic for me. Thank you for the comments supporting me. A big hug to all the women who shared their body image issues. It's hard, and people do make you feel ugly. I've been trying to implement some of your advice with my children. Well, we try to do fun activities together as a family, and I try to make them feel like we're perfect. We had a lovely vacation for all those who've asked. I have to share with you all an update on what happened with Theo and Angela. Theo's luck turned out well, and he won a huge amount of money on a bet that he placed. He used the money to hire a good lawyer for himself. As soon as we were back from the trip, we found a legal notice that Theo sent us. We had to go to trial for our children. Theo claimed that our kids were unhappy with me and Isaac, and the lawyer, Aaron, blamed us for not taking enough care of Cody. That's why he ran away. He told the judges that it's very clear that Cody does not want to live with us. We argued that Cody is not old enough to know what's best and that he was manipulated and lied by Angela. It was a long battle, but the decision was on their side, and they decided that there was actually no need for the restraining order and that Theo was not a threat to my children. They granted him visitation rights and he could take my kids away for the weekend. The decision shattered me completely. I knew that Angela would take the complete advantage of this and use it to manipulate my kids even further. We could not do much about it. We had to give in. Cody was pretty excited to be able to meet his dad again, and Isaac has been pretty frustrated too. We can't focus on our work at all. Every passing weekend, we felt that the boys have been slipping away from our hands. Angela's turning them into brats. She feeds them junk food and tells them that she feeds it to them because she loves them more. My kids come home and refuse to eat the food that I make. They're starting to have behavior issues, and I've constantly been called in by their teachers. They complain that my kids have been using foul language, and I don't have any evidence that it's them. They've recently started watching bad content online. They've never done this before, but they simply will not listen to me. No matter how much I try, they keep threatening to leave me and go and stay with their father forever. I don't want to shout at them and let them slip away from me even further. I don't know what to do anymore. They simply refuse to visit the counseling center either. I don't get the opportunity to spend time with my kids at all. Isaac and I come home late at night. Theo takes my kids away for the weekend, which was the only time that I would ever spend quality with them. I've had a hard work and, a word with my boss about the changing of my shift, giving me days off during the week and allowing me to work on the weekends, etc. The shift has already been filled by another person, and, so it's going to be difficult. I'm still trying my best, and I feel I need to spend more time with my children. Sometimes I even think of leaving my job for my kids. Nothing can be more important than them, right? I just don't know what to do. Angela and Theo have made my life hell. They're the ones destroying my family, and they're telling my kids that Isaac destroyed theirs. I just hope my kids understand their true colors soon, and I'll try to figure out how to manage this situation. Hopefully, I can talk to a lawyer to convince the judge that giving my kids to Theo is a bad idea. The teachers are on my side and are willing to comment on the kids' behavior changes. I'm hoping it's enough to convince them to change their decision. I'll be updating you pretty soon on this. Thank you guys for hearing me out. Update number 2. So, hey everyone. I'm here with a much-needed update, and all of you have been asking, as well as suggesting approaches that I can take with Cody. Thank you for your concern on that. You don't understand how much I appreciate it. The way Cody and Toby were acting after regularly meeting Angela and Theo, it was concerning. I hate to say that they're a bad influence on my kids. I don't expect anything else from Angela anyways. She's a bad influence on Theo too, and I don't want my kids to turn into Theo. So I was desperate to kick them out of my life. But I did not know how. I could easily prove how bad an influence they were on my kids in court, but that would make them more rebellious. I just didn't want them to distance themselves more from Isaac and me. As every weekend passed, I got more desperate. The kids had started using Angela's foul language, and they also started showing a peculiar interest in betting and card games. I tried to control my reactions, but I burst out in anger and told them that they just can't say the things they do. They reverted and told me they wished that they could stay at Father's house forever, and they did not like coming back home at all. There were no rules there. They stay up late at night, but will come back home tired and groggy. The junk food, it wasn't healthy in the long run either, and Theo is such a stupid parent. He's ruining the kids' lives for his own benefit, and I don't understand why he wants to see the kids in the first place. He's so selfish and did not want anything to do with them 6 years ago. Isaac and I sat down with John while the kids were away to hatch a plan to get rid of them for good. John wanted to murder Angela, but we all laughed at that but knew it was not the solution. John thought of a great idea. We decided to trap them and use their words against them, and when they came back home, I sent them upstairs to take a bath. We told Angela and Theo we wanted to have a word. John offered them $20,000 to get the heck out of our lives. Angela agreed instantly, but Theo, he was a bit unsure. Angela exclaimed that she had enough and does not want to take care of the stinky kids anyways. She started talking all sorts of bullcrap about my kids. Theo and Angela admitted that they were doing this so that they could cave their way back into our lives so that John and I could take them back. Well, I told them that they were stupid for believing that that would ever happen. I knew they had a motive behind it, and Theo just wanted someone to cook and clean for him, if not pay for him. He could not manage his expenses or his household, and he could not even look after his own kids. Angela told Theo to forget about the kids and take the money. Theo eventually agreed because he needed the money. We made a fake deal with them. That's right. We made a fake deal, and they agreed to leave my kids' lives for a bit of money. I knew my kids would be eavesdropping. They had recently developed the habit. I still made Isaac stand in the hallway to ensure that they heard everything. Our plan worked. They heard all the mean things Angela said about them, and Theo agreed to take the money and leave too. We weren't going to give them anything, but I literally would have paid them to keep them away if I had thought of it earlier. Cody and Toby had started resenting them. They weren't happy to go to theirs the next weekend, and they threw tantrums and refused to go. Angela did not want them around anyways, but Theo begged them to go with him. They straight up refused and called him a liar. They badmouthed Angela with the same language that she used, and Angela had the audacity to tell me to teach my kids some manners. Theo was a bit frustrated at that, and they eventually left without the kids, and they could not force my kids to go with them. We went to court and managed to prove that they were a horrible influence. The teachers and our friends helped too by revealing the changes in their behavior. I made sure they would not come back into our lives and made sure the restraining order against them was put back on. Angela made a big fuss in court that we offered them money but did not pay. She screamed and shouted, and it cast a really bad light on her. It did more harm to her reputation than good, and Theo just wanted her to shut up. He was embarrassed about the whole situation, and he condemned me for taking his kids away from him. I hope now that they're gone for good, he doesn't, pull off anything else. I'm constantly worried about my kids. Our plan did take my kids away from them, but they're still distanced from us, especially Isaac. The kids don't call Isaac Dad anymore, and they didn't talk much or have fun with Isaac like before. Things are slowly getting better, but it's very, very slow, and the whole process is simply killing me. I hope things get better quickly, and I just really can't watch my family break apart like this. My kids are extremely hurt because of Angela and Theo's statements. They're upset that their father gave them up for a small amount of money. I tried to tell them more about their father and explain the reasons behind his behavior. Well, my boys were confused and had a lot of questions about money. For now, I explained to them the importance of money, but that family and their well-being are always going to be far greater of an importance. I think that things are getting back to normal at home. Well, I hope. The good news is that Isaac is finally focused on his work, and the poor thing was so stressed out. I can finally have weekends with my boys. We have not had a family fun for weeks. Update number 3. Hey everyone. This post is yet another update about Theo and Angela. It's a little unfortunate for them, but I'm not gonna lie, I felt revealed. Well, we did not hear much from Theo and Angela after the hearing, and after a few weeks, Theo started calling my phone every single night and telling me how much he wanted me back in his life. He had gone against his restraining order, and I was allowed to file a complaint against him. I didn't want any more drama, so I blocked his number. He kept calling from different numbers, and we were getting annoyed, but things were just going back on track. We decided to wait for a little less work before calling the authorities and kept our phones silent at night. After a few weeks of continuously calling us, he suddenly stopped. I began to ponder what happened, but could not care enough to investigate, and John came in with the news that he had borrowed a lot of money for gambling and all his activities, and he got beaten up by people that landed him in the hospital. It turns out that the people he was with were part of a big group of people who did illegal activities. Kind of like the mafia, I don't know how to describe it. He was taken into police custody and further investigation, and John was contacted for further information upon Theo. Theo would have to go to jail because his gambling and bettings were totally illegal. He would bet on illegal street fights, and the police wanted to put an end to it. Since Theo was in jail, Angela had nowhere to go. She went back to John and begged him to take her back into his life, but John did not budge. He told her to leave the premises or he's going to call the cops on her. He told her that she was dead to him and that he doesn't need a wife anymore. Poor Angela could not work at such an old age, and she found an old age home for herself and sold her house just to spend the rest of her days there. It wasn't the luxurious life that she wanted, but she had no other choice, and she could not fend for herself. Karma struck them both very hard. They left the people who loved and cared for them for money, and now look where they are. It's a lesson to be learned for everyone, and I hope readers will take them as an example to understand why greed only lands you in bad places. Now they have to live the rest of their life in immense pain. As for Cody and Toby, they've moved on. I did send them for counseling to make them feel better, and I did not want all this to have a permanent impact on their lives. I did not tell them their father was in jail, though. I prefer not to bring that up, out of fear. I'll tell them when they're older. For now, let's just let them live their innocent, happy life. Guys, this is going to be my last update about my ex. I think it's getting old, and it's time my family moves on since they're now gone for good. Thanks to all of you for your support and reading. It really means a lot. Alright guys, let's jump into 2 comments. These comments do not agree with each other, so let me know whose side you're on with this one. Comment number 1 says this. Oh wow. First off, a big hug. You've been through a whirlwind, and while I'm all for fathers being a part of their children's life, it's clear Theo and Angela are toxic influences. I'm glad the truth came to light and that you're prioritizing your children's well-being. Take care and hope things only get better from there. So that comment was in support of OP. Let's take a look at comment number 2 now, which is completely opposite. And keep in mind, both of these comments got a lot of attention in the updates. Comment 2. I'm sorry, but I can't help but think you're painting Angela and Theo in a much worse light than they deserve. Yes, they have their flaws, but they're human. Maybe it's time for all of you to sit down, have an honest, calm conversation for the sake of the children. Also, isn't it a bit manipulative to keep the fact that their father is in jail away from the kids? They deserve to know. So guys, knowing those 2 commenters' perspective, let me know which one you side with the most. Drop it downstairs in the comment section. Thank you for joining me on today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, the best way to support the channel is by hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!